Hey golfers, is there any worse feeling than rushing your downswing? We know it happens, we can feel it as soon as we do it. Our buddies tell us we got quick, but we just can't stop it for good. Well, in today's video, we're gonna go over how to stop rushing your downswing forever. I'm gonna give you one backswing key that we need to make sure that we're doing and 2 drills that will help us stop rushing our downswing for good. So make sure you stay tuned for the whole video. So one of the biggest culprits that I see for the reason why people rush their downswing is because they're not completing their backswing. Okay, so if we take a backswing and we don't load all of our power sources, of course we're gonna be rushed to come down, right? Because we have to make up for energy that we haven't stored in our backswing, and we have to try to make up for it. So it's gonna feel super rushed. And if you didn't rush, you would feel like you were getting absolutely 0 power. So we have to make sure that we're completing our backswing, that we're loading that power into the backswing before we can work on not rushing the downswing. Because if we don't complete our backswing, then we're always gonna feel rushed to try to make up for insufficient power. So how do we know if we're completely loaded in our backswing? So a full backswing for me might be different than a full backswing for you. We're at all different ages. We have all different mobility, flexibility levels. So a good test to see how far your backswing can go should be if you were setting up to the golf ball, like you're about to hit it. And I heard this from, watch this on Danny Maud's channel. He gave a great analogy. He said, if you were set up and somebody calls your name from behind you, okay? And you look back to see who's there, okay? You can see I'm turning my neck, I'm turning my hips, okay? So that is a good motion that we wanna practice. So if somebody said, hey Mags, and I turn around and look back behind, you can see how I have turned my shoulders, I've let my neck tilt, I've also extended this right side so my right hip can turn back. One of the biggest culprits I see for too short of backswings is not because of lack of flexibility, but because they try to keep this right leg flexed too long. And that's going to hinder the amount of rotation that you can get. So we need to let this right side extend, this right leg extend. We don't need to lock it out, but we need to let it straighten a little bit so that we can get that right hip to turn back, which will then allow for the mobility of our torso. So maybe you look back and you can kind of only get to here. Okay, I would double check that we've let that right side extend. And if that's the case, then that's fine. That's the top of your backswing. Okay, so for me, hey Mags, I look back, okay? So now, if I put my right arm up here, extended, okay, that's gonna be the top of my backswing. Now, for some of you, you might not be able to get your lead arm up that high, and that's okay. I would much rather you have a shorter arm swing, still maximizing the maximum amount of turn versus trying to go back further and having your arms break down, which is going to not give you any more power. So that's a great test to see what the top of your backswing should be for you, and that should be the position that we're trying to get to every time. So making sure that we get to that full backswing. Turn, look behind us, extend that left arm, make sure that we've turned that right hip, and now we're in a good, complete backswing. Okay, so that's the first thing that we want to check, is that we're loading our maximum amount of power into the backswing, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, now that we have our full backswing, how do we not rush the downswing? This is the tricky part, right? This is the tricky part that we all struggle with, because we're all trying to translate power. We're all trying to hit the ball really far, right? And as humans, our body wants to translate power by twisting, right? And if we start with twisting, if we start that way, then we know what happens, right? The club comes out steep, we're gonna swing across and to the left, get slices, pulls, poor contact. So we have to have the right sequencing to start the downswing. And when we're not rushing, a lot of times people say, oh, you just need to slow down. Okay, maybe we're slowing down in the transition, but we're not slowing down the speed of our swing. We're trying to get the speed of our swing to happen in the right spot, right? We want the maximum amount of club head speed to be right through the golf ball, right? We don't care how fast the club is swinging here. We don't care how fast the club is swinging in the backswing. We're trying to max out our speed of the club head right through impact so that the ball gets that club head speed, right? So even though it might feel like you're swinging slower, we're not actually trying to get you to swing slower. We're trying to get you to actually swing faster at the ball and just not have that max speed be too early to where now we throw the club out, we've lost all of our angles, and the max speed is well before the golf ball. Okay, so drill number 1 that is going to help us not rush the downswing is just a freeze drill or a pause drill. And this is very hard. If you've never done this before, it's very challenging because again, we tend to want to start that downswing pretty quick to generate power. So in the pause drill, you're going to swing to the top of your backswing. You're going to pause for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to swing through and count 1, 2, 3. So a lot of times when I see this drill, people talk about pausing at the top. Eric Cagorno had a great video where he talked about also pausing for 3 seconds in the follow through. Because a lot of times with people that struggle with rushing, they struggle to keep their balance in the follow through. And that's a huge issue for contact as well. So in this freeze drill, in this pause drill, we're gonna feel a 3 second pause at the top of our backswing, as well as a 3 second pause after we hit the ball into the follow through. It's gonna really feel like you're being deliberate, really slowing you down. So it's gonna look like this. So normal setup, swing to the top, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's actually pretty good. And it's gonna feel like you're hanging out up there for eternity. So what is this actually doing? Okay, we're pausing, that's cool. What is it actually doing? When we rush, our sequencing gets off. When we rush, we tend to start with rotation, right? We tend to start with spinning out. And if we rotate, we are not transferring any pressure into that left side. So when we come down, we're gonna not be enough left to where that club is not gonna be able to bottom out after the golf ball like we're trying to do. So if we start with rotation, not shifting the pressure forward, and the club is gonna be coming down way too far out in front of us, way too vertical, way too steep. Versus from the top, when we feel that pause, if we try to start from a pause position, we're not naturally going to want to start like this. That's just kind of awkward. So what you'll notice is that you're going to have to start with that lower body. You're going to have to start with that pressure shift into your left side when we come from a pause position because we don't really have any momentum. So you're going to feel the need to start with that lower body, transferring that pressure to the left side. And you can see as that happens, the club actually wants to fall back behind me, which is what we need and what is missing when we get that rushed downswing. So a couple of sensations that have resonated with me and I like to feel and that my students have said have helped them. So from the top, we need to let the backswing happen, right? We need to make sure that the backswing matures and we let it complete. And then it feels like you're just hanging out up here, right? Just kind of be patient, hang out up here for a while. And then I always like the visual of if from here, if we just let go of the club and let gravity take it, right? If my arms just died and the club just fell with gravity, you can see where the club wants to fall. Because the club head is the heaviest part, it wants to fall down behind me. So if the club is coming out here, it's because we're pushing it there. We're applying a force, pushing it out steep. So if we feel from the top, like we're just letting gravity lower that club initially before we add in that rotation, that's also a really good sensation to feel like we're not rushing the transition with our rotation of our shoulders. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple more of this pause drill. So the top, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And if you struggle to keep your balance at the end, that's something that you want to work on because keeping our balance is fundamental to making good contact, right? We already know golf is hard. We're trying to hit this tiny club face with very little margin for error. So if we're losing our balance and this sweet spot's moving around, we're not going to be consistent with hitting it in the middle of the face. So we need to figure out a way to keep our balance in that follow through as well. Okay, so we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you want to do that until you feel like you can start to make some pretty solid contact. Again, it's going to feel like you're up at the top of your backswing for eternity, and that's okay. All right, so then how do we transition that 3 second pause to something that we can take to the golf course? If you watch, one of my favorite players right now to watch is Cam Young. He's a fellow Demon Deacon, played golf at Wake Forest University where I played. Hideki, Matsuyama's got a significant kind of visual pause at the top. And they're very powerful players. But if you watch them, and I'll put them on the screen here, if you watch them at the top of their golf swing, not in a drill, but actually on the golf course, there looks to be this just moment of hanging out at the top before they start down. It's very smooth transition. They're not rushing, jerking the club from the top. So that's a great visual. So to transition this to a swing that we can take to the course, we're not gonna pause 3 seconds on the course, but we're gonna change that 3 seconds into what feels like a 1 second pause. And what you'll notice is what feels like a 1 second pause is really not a pause. It's just keeping you from starting down super, super quick. Okay, so go into what feels like a 1 second pause. Right? Felt like a pause, but I bet on video it didn't look like one. Okay, so that's a great drill. Starting off 3 seconds, hanging out at the top, hitting the ball, 3 seconds in the follow through, and then transitioning that to the golf course with what feels like a 1 second pause. Okay, that's gonna be a great, and that's a great feel that you can take to the course, right? We can think in our head, okay, we gotta feel like we're pausing. And again, you're not actually gonna be pausing. Just that thought of pausing for that extra 1 second is going to keep you from starting down too quick. Okay, so for drill number 2, we're gonna use one of my favorite training aids, the orange whip. Okay, if you have not seen this, it is a training aid that's great to work on your tempo. It's a very flexible, whippy shaft, the ball on the end. And I love using this to work on my tempo. It's great to warm up with. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to purchase this awesome training aid. So the idea is because the shaft is so whippy, we have to let that club settle at the top, right? We have to let that whippy shaft kind of settle at the top before we can swing through. You'll notice if I get too quick at the top, that thing starts to really bend and you really lose control of it. Okay, so I'll do another bad one where I get quick. Like it feels very, very weird. Now I'm gonna kind of feel that pause, let the club settle before I add that speed. And again, I'm not swinging slower at the golf ball. I'm swinging fast at the correct part of my swing. Okay, so let it settle, then swing through. Let it settle, and then add the speed. See, I'm still swinging fast. I'm just not letting it get super out of control at the top. So once you do this for a few times, and again, it's a great warm-up tool just to get loose and also obviously work on your tempo. But once you do this for a few times, get that sensation, feeling that club settling at the top. Okay, then we grab our golf club and try to have that same sensation. Feeling like at the top, imagining that orange whip, letting the club settle at the top before we start down. And if you do a few swings with that, your actual club is going to feel pretty funny initially. Okay, so I'm going to imagine I've got that orange whip. Letting it settle at the top before I start down. Really, really like that sensation. In my personal golf swing, I tend to get really quick in the transition. And so this is something that I've used that really transformed my game with just a super simple feel. Nothing really technical, just that sensation of letting that club settle at the top before I start down. Okay, do it one more time. Feel like I'm letting it settle. Feeling that pause. That was really good. Okay, so you've got a couple of different ways to go about making sure you don't get rushed in the downswing. We're gonna first make sure that we are completing our backswing, whatever length that is for us, because that is imperative, or else you're not gonna be able to fix the rush downswing. To make sure we're completing that backswing, loading all of our power sources, then we can feel that pause drill, right? We're gonna feel like we're gonna pause at the top for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, hit, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do that for a series of shots. Once we get pretty good at that, as we transition to the golf course, we can turn that 3-second pause into a 1-second pause. And then we've got the orange whip, awesome training aid. I would just keep it in your golf bag for warm-ups to work on your tempo. When you feel like you're getting quick, bring it out for a couple swings, and then have that same sensation when you get your actual golf club in your hand. Okay? Let me know in the comments if this was helpful for you. I really appreciate you watching, and I could love bringing you content like this every single week. If you'd like to work with me a little bit more one-on-one individually, we can do so through the Skillest app, and I have that link down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.